Today I will explore how the team roles functioned in my ad campaigns group and also how my personal experience of ad campaigns went during the semester. I've never worked on an assignment in such a large team of 10 people, and this certainly presented its challenges but also its benefits. Our team was made up of quite an eclectic group of personalities, which at times clashed but also did complement each other. Using Belbin's team roles, I'll elaborate on each team member and how they identified with Belbin's model as well as what I learnt from interacting with them. So, Belbin's first team role is known as the plant, who tends to be highly creative and good at solving problems in unconventional ways. I found that one of our creative members, Tim, represented this really well. He came up with the foundations of our creative concept, and every one of his ideas was very quirky and innovative. As a production member, I work with Tim quite closely, and when we came across a few problems to do with budget or feasibility, he was a front runner at creating a new way of approaching the idea, so no conflict really arose there. The resource investigator was definitely Hagen from the media department. Time and time again, he showed a real knack for research outside of the box and constantly questioned in a good way whether our research was right, whether we supported our arguments enough, and always backing it up with a source. I think by keeping himself so broadly across everything to do with the campaign, he was a great asset in grounding it. Hagen also emerged as a specialist in his field once our research was kicked off, as he does have a great in-depth knowledge of his field. AJ and Nicole, the ad planners, were also resource investigators due to the nature of their role. However, I felt their personalities clashed, and therefore they may not have carried out their role as effectively as what could have been. I feel like they also had some communication issues, which also flowed on to the rest of the group. I didn't really need any information from them directly for my part as production, but I understand the flow and effect of their work affecting everyone else's, so I know that in the long run it probably did impact me. I believe myself and Michael, the other production manager, and Antonio from media represented the team worker role. We agreed to help wherever necessary to complete tasks before our own production role began, and then proceeded to complete our own part of the campaign when necessary. And we didn't really merge as leaders or anything of that nature. We just completed our task because it was expected of us. Personally, the reason I didn't really rise above this was because I felt we had a lot of strong personalities in our group, which I'll talk about later, and I didn't really want to challenge or go against what any of them said, because I think it would have been counterproductive, and I think it would have created more conflict, and I don't think there was room for another leader in the group. So there were a few members of the group who emulated multiple roles, which I think ultimately did cause some disharmony and instability. The ad managers Nathan and Jennifer did act as coordinators, as they ultimately came up with the campaign objectives and oversaw the work of other team members. However, other creative member Kahu, I believe, overtook them in terms of taking control. His unwavering attention to detail and scrutinising of his own work relates him to a completed finisher, as he really prides himself on his creative work. It didn't really affect me as a production manager that much of his basic concepts did say the same. However, I'm aware that the constant changing of his main idea affected other team members such as media. Reflecting back, the division of team roles seemed uneven, and I think that caused a resulting uneasiness at some points in the campaign. Handy's structure theory is applicable here, because I felt the divisional structure with a board, which would have been the ad managers, Jen and Nathan, oversees everything, and the other departments run separate divisions, so like media and production, didn't work the way it was designed. We all had our own departments, but I think some of the group members tried to be members of the board when that's not their position, in particular Kahu from Creative. Galinsky and Maswala sum it up well, as they've stated our professional and personal interests often collide with those of others. We constantly have to negotiate. Our team did do some negotiating, but quite often it was a case of this is what's happening, enforced by the self-appointed leaders of the group. We completed our campaigns, and I think our end result is of a high standard. However, I think as a group, it came down to clashing personalities that made the process of getting there a bit turbulent. And, these are my references.